Hello, it's day 159, and I want to talk about weight loss TV. Back in the early 2000s, reality television was the hot new thing. And for a while there, it felt like every TV network didn't really feel like a legitimate network unless it had some kind of reality programming. And so, from the boardrooms of those networks was birthed the idea of weight loss reality TV. The premise for these shows was always pretty similar. It would follow overweight people around, sometimes an individual, but usually a couple or a family, and it would document their lives as fat people. What did they eat? What did they do? What kind of health problems did they have? And of course, you had the normal reality TV drama that you always get. The window dressing for these shows was different. Sometimes you would get a game show style one like Biggest Loser, or you would get a detective show like Secret Eaters, and of course you had the pseudo documentaries like My 600-Pound Life. And listen, I'm not going to stand here and pretend like I'm a saint. I used to watch shows like that all the time. And like everything diet and fitness related, I have kind of a complicated relationship with them now. I was never diagnosed with an eating disorder, but I did have very disordered eating back then. And one of the things I would do, because remember this was before streaming services, I would wait for those kind of shows to come on, and that's when I would eat my meals. I would wait until I could watch something like My 600-Pound Life, and I would use that as justification for skipping meals or for leaving food on my plate. I'm not the only one who felt this way. A lot of people use that show as motivation, or as some strange, twisted way of teaching themselves what's right or what's wrong when it comes to food. And while I can see how that show can be educational in some sense, it did show people with different body types, it did show what it was like to be a very overweight person, I also always felt like underneath that veneer of education, it almost felt like we were all punching our tickets to the circus sideshow, if you know what I mean. It wasn't done with the people's best interest in mind, and I do know that a lot of the people who were on My 600-Pound Life have gone on to say how they regretted it, how their words and their actions were edited to make it look a certain way, to make them look dumb or mean or, uneducated. But on the other side of that, there are people who were on shows like that who said that they would have never been able to get the health care that they needed if they hadn't gone on that show. That it did change their life, that it did improve them in a lot of ways. I will say that I don't watch shows like that anymore. Not for any moral reasoning, but simply because I find those shows triggering. For a lot of people, they were able to watch shows like that just as entertainment. But for people like me, it became a tool, something that we used to justify the way that we were treating ourselves. And I also find it interesting how shows like that have fallen out of fashion. I think that's partially just because trends have changed, different types of reality TV are out there now, but I also would like to think that maybe we've all just become a little bit kinder in the way that we treat fat people. I don't know, maybe that's wishful thinking.